Good evening and welcome to. Oh, let's start that again. Good evening and welcome to UIC Liberty TV. Tonight, I want to talk to you about media censorship. Uh, as you know, the UIC has been registered with the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, ECJ, since December of 2019, and we had an election. General elections happened on September of last year. Uh, Since then, the UIC has been completely locked out of the dialogue on Jamaica's development. We've had no calls, absolutely no calls from the media houses to inquire on our position on anything, and our press releases that we sent out have all been ignored by the press completely. So you might have seen recently where we had the issue of George Wright, for example. You would have seen on CVM and TVJ responses to the issue from the governing party, and you'd have seen the opposition party giving their position as well. But you would not have seen anything from the UIC. Why is this? Is it because we don't have anything to say? No, not at all. The only reason you're not hearing anything from the UIC is because radio and television in Jamaica has decided not to air anything at all about the UIC. They will not request of us any reactions or any comments on any issues, and they will not release to you any press releases that we put out on any subject matter at all in Jamaica. Why is this so? What is it that the TVJ and CVM and all the um, media houses are afraid of? Why is it that they don't want you to hear anything from the UIC? We're not talking about paid advertising now. The UIC hasn't bought any paid advertising on any of these uh, entities, but that doesn't stop them from carrying stories about issues in Jamaica. There's a big issue of crime and violence in Jamaica. The UIC has much to say about that. In fact, we have a clear plan of action that we proposed for the government to follow. And you hear nothing about that on radio or television in Jamaica. If you're fortunate enough to have internet and you're on social media and happen to be in a space where the UIC is, then you might hear something from us. But the radio and television companies in Jamaica seem to have come together, colluded, uh, um, to not show anything about the UIC. So the George Wright issue, we have much to say on that. We have stood firmly on the side of anti-violence against women, men, children. We have much to say on the sexual harassment issues that are happening in our society. We have much to say about the economy. We have much to say about COVID. But you are not hearing any of this at all on your radio or television station. You're not seeing it in the news. It's not in the newspaper. It's not in the Gleaner. It's not in the Star. It's not in the Observer. Nothing at all is being communicated about the UIC. And you, as a Jamaican, home or abroad, should be asking the question, why is it that all of the national newspapers, radio stations, television stations are refusing to say even a blip about the UIC? Why are they not allowing the Jamaican people to hear what the UIC has to say? I'll tell you why. They're afraid of us. They're afraid that the Jamaican people might actually hear and understand and realize that the UIC has the answer to all of Jamaica's political problems. We have the answer to the corruption problem. We have a system of governance that will eliminate the massive corruption problem that we have that has been sucking money out of our economy and making politicians rich while keeping the people poor. So they don't want you to hear that. They know that we have the answer for the crime problem. And they know that if we were to pursue the crime solution that the UIC has, it would implicate politicians in both parties and would actually solve the crime problem by getting to the source of the problem. It would address the issue of guns coming across our borders. It would address the issue of drug running. It would address the issue of the gangs and the gang violence. It would address the issue of the funding of gangs through government contracts. It would address the issue of the gatekeeping in our different ministries that allows politicians to benefit from corrupt activities. And so they know that if the UIC's plan and message were to take root in the minds of Jamaicans, they would actually begin to understand the problem and demand the solution. So they don't want you to know about our crime plan. They don't want you to know about our uh, system of governance to fix the corruption issue. They don't want you to hear what we're going to do about education, how we're going to fix the education problem in Jamaica so that our students are no longer focused on simply passing exams, but actually on building competencies and skills that are relevant for the market today and into the future. They don't want you to know that the two parties have missed the mark. And because of that, Jamaican graduates are 20 years behind in terms of technology, in terms of being able to code, in terms of being able to respond effectively to artificial intelligence. They do not want you to know this. And so they're hiding the UIC from you. They're hiding the UIC from Jamaicans. They don't want you to know that we have the answer to the healthcare problem that we're faced with, that we actually have a solution that will make healthcare, the nightmare of healthcare, a thing of the past. They don't want you to know this because they're contented to have the majority of Jamaicans suffer inadequate healthcare and suffer debilitating illnesses and suffer from a lack of proper care year after year. So they don't want you to know that. But guess what? The UIC is going to circumvent all of that. We have found how we can use social media effectively to reach millions of Jamaicans in Jamaica and outside of Jamaica. And we're going to reach you and we're going to pull Jamaicans together to unite against bad governance and to unite against a system that has failed us for more than 75 years. So, the media censorship is not going to work for long. It is working now because it's obviously preventing us from reaching many Jamaicans quicker if they were able to hear from us. Right now, every night they turn on their television, they're not hearing the UIC position on the various issues. They don't know that the UIC has been fighting for their right to life, liberty, and property. They don't know the questions we have sent to the Prime Minister and how he's dodging those questions to clarify the issues around the coronavirus. They don't know. They don't know of our request for information and how we have challenged the different government agencies on the work that they're doing to protect the interests of Jamaicans. And so um, I want you to tune in. I want you to realize that you are a big part of the solution. As a party, we do not have the kind of funding that the two traditional parties have. You know that. You know that they receive their funding to a large degree from the big private sector companies across Jamaica that make up the PSOJ. You know that. You know that no political party in Jamaica can survive without funding. And so I have to ask you tonight, if you want have an alternative, if you want a different outcome for Jamaica, if you want changes, real change to Jamaica, you're going to have to be a part of the solution. You cannot be just a bystander watching and hoping or praying for a change. You have to become actively involved. So I'm inviting you to actually join the UIC. Go to www.uicjamaica.com and sign up, become a member, volunteer, and donate. It's by us joining hands together that we can actually build a new and better Jamaica. The time has come, my friends, for us to turn the page, turn the corner on this old system that has been dragging us down, keeping us down year after year after year. Sometimes I'm afraid to actually watch the news. It's like, what bad news is it going to be today? How many more people are going to be killed? How many more businesses are going to go under? How many more poor decisions are going to be made by the government? For example, take the George Wright situation. You realize that the man was caught on broad daylight on CTV camera brutally beating a woman, but the police says their hands are tied unless the woman decides to press charges. Nothing can happen. Now, that tells you that you have a very bad system of laws and governance, because a crime is a crime, whether or not somebody comes and confess that they're the victim or confess that they're the perpetrator of the crime. And so the UIC is going to change those laws. We're going to get rid of the bad laws and make sure we have good laws in Jamaica, strong, solid laws in Jamaica to protect our citizens from criminals. Yes, welcome, Michelle or Michibu Trail. Thank you. Good evening. How are you doing? Craig McKenzie, thank you for your question. I hope I have answered it. The why is that they don't want to hear from the UIC, but they can't stop us. They don't want to hear from us, but they can't stop us. We have been pressing forward step by step. And I knew from the very beginning that this was not going to be an easy road. It was not going to be a quick and easy thing. We have to convince Jamaicans that they can trust the UIC. We have to convince Jamaicans that we have the answers to their problems. We have to convince Jamaicans that we're not going to be same old, same old. And if you look at what the UIC is offering, if you really look at what we're offering Jamaicans, you'd be amazed, because we're a party that is actually not even seeking power. We're seeking to be elected to return power to the people, to give you back what is rightfully yours. For years, from the very beginning, from the foundation of Jamaica, we have been misled into thinking that what we have is actually government. What we have is a ruler. We don't have government. The purpose of government is to protect the life, protect the liberty, and protect the property of every citizen equally. That's not a joke, that's a serious statement. If you think about it, the role of government is to protect the life, the liberty, and the property rights of every citizen equally. But that's not what we have today. What we have today is a 5-year dictatorship where we elect. Let me back up. We don't really elect, because what we have is a system where it's money that determines who is elected for the most part. And the those who have money in Jamaica have the two parties that they desire. They have two parties that they control, and they fund those two parties. So it doesn't matter what you really think. Only those two are going to be presented to the people as credible. And of course, credibility is determined by what you see, and people only see two parties that are well funded, that can present themselves effectively to the people. So we, the Jamaican people, are going to have to do something phenomenal. We are going to have to step up to the plate and create and fund our own movement, our own party, to solve the problems we want to solve. We know we can't depend on these two parties to solve it. Let's not fool ourselves. We know. We have seen them in action for the last 77 years, to be exact. I normally like to just say 75 plus years. We have seen them in action. We know what they are about. They can fool us for so long, but they shouldn't be able to fool us anymore. There's no reason why we should remain fooled by these two entities. So let's look at solutions. We have to realize that having a system that divides us against each other is not good for us. That's a system proposed by and affected by and through, um, affected by our former colonial masters and through our own Jamaican people. We should have known better. We should have done better, but we didn't. We somehow succumbed to the I guess, some people, if foreigners tell them it's good, they just follow it. They don't question it. If a foreigner say it's good, so foreigners told us that the system that we have is good, and so we have just followed it. We have implemented it, and all it has done is divided us into two tribes and have us fight forever, while failing to create the kind of country that we want. What kind of country do we want? The UIC wants to make sure Jamaica is one of the safest countries on the planet. We want to make sure it's one of the cleanest countries on the planet. We want to make sure that it's really very orderly, because we understand and we know that without those three elements, you cannot have a prosperous nation. I know some politicians have promised us prosperity without productivity. They simply use the word prosperity and said, "Hey, we're going to make you prosperous," but that's not enough. Hey, good evening, twin Buddha. Good to see you. Thank you for the blast, Michibu. Much appreciated. For those who are just joining us, this is Joseph Patterson. I'm the president and founder of the United Independence Congress, Jamaica's third registered political party after the other two. Um, I think I should say Buba. Yes, welcome, Buba. Good to see you. On, please, people, if you have any questions at all, add into the chat box, and I will answer your questions. But I'm talking tonight about media censorship. Many Jamaicans have not heard about the UIC for the simple reason that the entire media fraternity in Jamaica, radio, television, newspaper, TVJ, CVM, Gleaner, Observer, Star, all of them have made a concerted effort and decision to not allow Jamaicans to hear about the UIC, generally speaking. Since the election, there's been nothing at all about the UIC in the media. They have not asked us a single question, and they have not published a single one of our press releases. They're ensuring that we remain in the dark as far as Jamaicans are concerned. Yes, we're reaching people online. We're reaching thousands of Jamaicans around the world online through our Facebook page, which is UIC Jamaica Group or UIC Jamaica, or Twitter account, and so on. But that's not enough. Many Jamaicans rely on radio and television to get their news, and the news media has decided not to share us with the rest of the Jamaican population. We have to change that. So I'm asking you, I'm relying on each of you to share our UIC Jamaica page, our UIC Jamaica group, our Twitter account. Um, just share with all your friends and families and tell them there is another party in Jamaica. There is a better party in Jamaica. And together we can create a real new Jamaica. We cannot afford for the next election to see us electing once more one of the two parties that have brought us to the low level that we are. We cannot afford it. A few statistics for you. Back in the 1960s, we were having somewhere in the region of about 66 murders a year. Now we have, you know, 1,500, 2,000 murders. Why is that? Back in the 1970s, our exchange rate was, somewhere in the region of on par with the US, or 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 5 to 1, 7 to 1 in the 80s, and so on. But now it is 150 to 1. Why is that? It's all because of bad governance. Huh? That's all. Um, so I see a little note here from Buba, speaking about patriotic Jamaican. Yes, and in a sense, I think we're all patriotic. If you look at what happens when we have sporting events, or one of our own is doing very well in music or culture, or something, we all come together and we celebrate. But what we need to do now is to come together and create a Jamaica with a strong system of governance, good politics, and get rid of the bad politics and the bad governance. And we have to create a strong economy and get rid of the bad economy. You know what's keeping our economy bad? It's our politics. It's our politics that interfere. Our politics interfere with our farmers. Our politics interfere with our manufacturers. Our politics interfere with our service sector because everything has to be about political connection and everything has to be about politicians engaging in some form of corruption to eat a food at the expense of the people of Jamaica. And so we have to stop it. We have to get beyond that kind of politics. We have to get beyond that kind of economics so that Jamaica can actually rise to the top. We have some really smart people here in Jamaica and around the world. If we would only give them a chance to succeed, if we would only create a Jamaica that would allow everyone to achieve their full potential, we would be such a better country. But unfortunately, we don't have that. We have a system of governance that plays favoritism. We have a system of governance that cripples creativity, that undermines productivity, that limits the Jamaican society, that keep us subservient to foreign interests. Almost everything we do, almost all of our laws are instigated by foreign interests. They come here and dictate what we should make law. You see our prime minister fighting and pushing to implement NIDS, National Identification System, when we already have national ID. We already have that. But the prime minister is pushing, all because he's getting foreign money. And this undermines our ability to think for ourselves and create for ourselves and decide what is good for us. Welcome, Jamaican Carlos. How are you doing, sir?
Good evening, sir. Patrick. Look good enough. How you doing? Bless you.
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Very good to see you. Your picture look a little bit fuzzy, but
Well,
good to see you nonetheless.
maybe it's my camera. Let me clean it up a little bit
Yes, or
and
make
change
sure the light.
location.
Make sure the
Let's change
light.
location.
Yeah, man. Make sure the light is behind you, behind your camera,
I'm
not
gonna change
behind you.
location, and I'm of course. I'm a
Yes.
little better now, right?
Yeah,
All
man.
right.
They get much better, much better.
Now
There we
go in,
go. There
now
we
go
go.
inside. Now go inside.
All right. Yeah, man. So I invited Jamaican Carlos to join me on this call, and I'm glad that he could make it. Um, oh, is Michibu who found you? I thought it was me. I sent you a link, but I see it's
Yes, yes.
Michibu that
I
that
just
did
saw
it.
your link
Welcome,
a
sir.
while. I just saw your link. I just saw it. I was sitting down going through messages, and I saw it.
Yes.
So I just clicked at the same time.
Excellent. Let me tell you something. I saw you with some T-shirts the other day. When you going to send me my T-shirt?
What size you wear?
I'm a medium. I'm a medium.
I got
So
you.
yeah, man, I need to get your T-shirt so I can show off and tell people I know Jamaican Carlos.
Yes, I got you.
Yeah, man. So welcome to the Liberty TV, UIC Liberty TV. I was just talking with our viewers about the media censorship of the UIC. Can you believe that no radio, no television, no newspaper carries anything at all about the UIC on any subject whatsoever in Jamaica? Can you believe that we have national issues going on? The UIC is Jamaica's third registered party. Third registered. We're officially registered. We have gone through all the process, all the nightmare and headache that they put us through and tried to prevent us from being registered. We went through all of that. And now they will not release our press releases. So when we put out a press release on COVID-19 or on George Wright or on crime and violence or on the Auditor General report. Nothing. They will not publish anything, nor will they call to say we have a question and want to hear the reaction of the UIC. Of course, they do this for the other parties. They will call the other parties. What is your position on this? I hear the GLP is doing this. What is your position on it, PNP? But they never call the UIC. Why is it they're afraid for the Jamaican people to hear what the UIC have to say? Why are they so afraid that they have all seemed to collude to keep us out of the national discussion on the development of Jamaica? What do you think, Brother Carlos?
Well, I think the system is tainted and it's set one way, and nobody don't see the need for change. Nobody want to change, and it's an old-fashioned system, and it's poisoned, and nobody want to change, and you're getting the UIC is getting pushed back because the system, both parties really dominate the whole system,
Mm-hmm.
and it's for a new party to come in. A new party to come in is like they don't want change. A lot of people do not want change. They like
Mm-hmm.
the status quo. They just like how things are. So,
Yes,
and
yes.
let's talk about some solution or how we need to go forward with this. I think
Yes,
we need
yes,
to
yes.
approach we the people, social media load, need to approach these TV stations
Yes.
and tell them what we want to hear. You know, because we
Yeah.
want to hear about, we want to see what the UIC is posting. It's a big audience out here, and it's not just a two party. The UIC is registered; it's a party too. So
Mm-hmm.
we got to. How I see it is like social media. You got to use that hammer. Got to
Absolutely.
approach these
Absolutely.
people.
Yes.
Social media have
I
to knock
mean,
on their doors.
we have to ask them the question: what is journal objectivity? I thought journalists were supposed to be objective. Shouldn't they want to hear, for example, 18 degrees north, which is not controlled by big money and is not a part of the political establishment? They call us to hear our views. We give 18 degrees north our perspective on a number of issues, and they publish it. They quote us in their report because they're an objective media. You understand? Objective journalists. Now, I used to think that the Gleaner Company and the Observer would have been objective entities. I thought that CVM and TVJ would have been objective. But what it appears is that because the same people who own them are funding the two parties, they can't afford to be objective. They can't afford for their horse to be in any way compromised by the fact that the UIC might actually capture the hearts and minds of Jamaicans with our solutions. So they don't
Mm-hmm.
want them to hear that we have a solution for the crime problem. They don't want them to hear that we have a solution to the healthcare problem or the education problem or the economic problem. So they want to keep that away. And then come election time now, they will call us with frivolous discussions about why third parties can't win. They're the ones why third parties can't win. Because if they are not prepared to be objective and make sure Jamaicans hear from all parties, how on earth will third parties win? How Jamaican people know what the UIC have to offer if the journalists who are supposed to be objective are not telling the Jamaican people what this third party has to say? And as long as they do that, they are not being true journalists. In fact, they're being enemies of the state because they're not helping the people to have a national discussion from all perspectives as to how we can address the various problems that we've been grappling with for over 75 years. Now, if after 75 years, the two existing old parties can't find answers to crime, can't find answers to the economy, can't find answers to healthcare, can't find answers to education, why on earth would the journalist not want to hear a third voice who might just have the answer to these things?
I think Jamaican people, like I said, we change is not easy to come by. You have to realize that when the change came to stop for us to stop smoking and playing, can you
Mhm.
imagine the pushback from smokers? They don't
Yes.
want to stop smoking on the plane. You understand me? When the change came for us to start wearing seat belts, we hear people say all kind of crazy stuff, and
Yes.
these are good changes, right? Change is not easy to come by, but I believe if we keep pursue and keep pushing, keep
Mhm.
echoing, keep making noise, and make our voices heard, and people are what important, what the people want to hear. These people
Mm-hmm.
want to hear more about the UIC. On my platform, people are asking me about the UIC.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
There's
and
still
they
a lot
should
of
be they should be hearing, for example, they should have woken up in the morning and see in the newspaper, which they see now, they would see the prime minister says this and this and this about this. And then they would see a next article say the PNP says this and this and this about it. And then they'll see a next article, they should see a next article, the UIC said this and this about it. Then now the people could say, okay, so that's what the prime minister is saying. That's what Mark Golding and the PNP is saying. Now let's see what Joseph Patterson and the UIC is saying, and they can decide between that. But right now they're not hearing. Now I see one of ours on here says, "What is the UIC solution?" Let's talk about solution. Well, let's talk about solutions. I'm going to give you some brief solutions. If you look at the crime problem in Jamaica, uh, we have the governments of the years. They have tried to have brutal police officers that goes around and do extrajudicial killings and try to murder as many bad men as they can find. They've spent billions on curfews and states of emergencies and zones of special operations, and it has failed. Why? Because it hasn't addressed the core problem. I was on a call recently with a member of the diaspora, Dr. Gale, and he outlined so eloquently the causal reasons for crime in Jamaica. Much of it has to do with how the whole home structure has broken down, how the whole economy has broken down, how the whole link of politics to um, crime in terms of how politicians, through corruptions, directly and indirectly, either feed the crime problem or prevent the police from solving crime problems. And so it was so well done. And at the same time, the current deputy minister of deputy prime minister and minister of national security categorically says we don't need any help from the diaspora. We only need money, donations from the diaspora. They don't need the expertise. And I have heard some brilliant Jamaicans who have served in other countries and are adding value in other countries, making a big difference in other countries. And our deputy prime minister, who is representing the prime minister, who is representing the government of Jamaica, tell this vast expanse of brilliant minds that we have living outside of Jamaica, who most of them were pushed out of Jamaica because of the poor governance inside Jamaica. He's telling them, we don't need your expertise. Well, I want to tell you this, the UIC wants your expertise. We welcome your expertise. We need your expertise. In fact, a big part of solving Jamaica's problem is to pulling Jamaicans together. That's why we're called the United Independence Congress. It's pulling the best and brightest back into the solution business, bringing your minds and your expertise into helping to solve the problem. You're already helping, you know. The money sent from the diaspora to Jamaica accounts for practically 30% of our GDP.
yep,
Without
it's a
that
lot.
money, many people would dead for hungry. Many children
Yep.
would not go to school. They wouldn't have school books. They wouldn't have school uniform. They wouldn't have
Look at the
calculator.
charities. Check out the
Exactly.
charities.
And many charities receive monies from the diaspora who care about their country. So listen, the deputy prime minister and the government may not want your expertise, but the UIC welcomes your expertise. We want all in the diaspora to know that there's a place for you, a home for you. In fact, in our very structure that we have, our governance structure within the UIC, there's a place for the diaspora because we don't believe we have all the answers, but we know that as a collective, we can find all the answers. As a group of Jamaicans working together, we can create the solutions, Carlos. And that's what we're about. So crime is not something for one man. It's not something for one political party. It's something for all Jamaicans because we have to even convince, we have to convince the mothers to give up them sons who are involved in criminal activities. We have to convince those involved in criminal activities to know that there's a better way, that we can help you, we can remediate you, we can work with you and transition. We have to have a truth and reconciliation process. We have to have a process where we can understand the genesis of this crime problem, get to the heart of it, and move to healing of the nation and transitioning, getting the illegal guns off the street, closing down the border. The only way that guns can get into Jamaica is if those at the top are facilitating in coming across our border. So once we're not properly controlling the border, we're not going to fix the problem. So the
Nope,
UIC going
nope.
to control the border. We're going to control the youth with the education system. We must have a system of education that not only teaches you to pass exam, but gives you the skills to be productive within the modern economy. Jamaica's current school system is preparing students for 20 years ago. It has not matured enough, it has not developed enough for the current economy that we have. The Prime Minister is late. He was Minister of Education, and it's only today he's talking about coding and artificial intelligence when he was Minister of Education before. He should have been
Mm-hmm.
talking about that then, not now. But guess what? The way our politicians work, they love to come and talk about the problem as though they're talking about the solution. The UIC talks about the solution and we build a solution. We have a new system and that's going to help fix the problem. But let me give you
You
a
see,
chance to say something. Yes.
Junior Minister, the Prime Minister, the Junior Prime Minister, or whatever his title is,
Deputy Prime Minister. Yeah.
Deputy
Deputy
Prime
Prime
Minister,
Minister.
rather.
Yes.
Deputy Prime Minister, rather. Those kind of arguments is showing no respect for Jamaicans.
None at
Did the
all.
Deputy Prime Minister know that in the last election year, there's a bunch of Jamaicans, quite a few Jamaicans were elected in office in government in America here? Jamaicans. Did you know?
Yeah. Did I lose you? It looked
Sorry
like
about that.
Carl. Okay, good.
Sorry
Go
about that,
ahead.
brother. Can you hear
Go
me?
ahead, please. Yes, we can.
I was saying, if the Deputy Prime Minister knew that a lot of old Jamaicans were elected to office right here in the last election, right here,
There you go.
smart
Yes.
Jamaicans, how you gonna sweep those away and shoo them away? Did you know
Yeah.
that when I came to America, I didn't know half the things I know now?
Exactly.
Most of us, do you know what things we've picked up over in the diaspora? Talking about people in England, people in Canada, people in America, in all over this world, even Africa.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
all gonna just send money to Jamaica, but we have no say.
Exactly.
It's like pimping us. How can you just say that? It's like show no respect to us. Now, I said it in video several times. If someone from the diaspora is going to change my country, one of us who
Absolutely.
came overseas somewhere and see better, I want to take that better back home, will change Jamaica. Like you, Mr. Pat.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
I just
Yeah. I
want to
mean,
know that people know.
I
Yeah?
left Jamaica. I left Jamaica in 1994 as a 23-year-old and went to Canada to live and raise my family. And the first thing that hit me, Carlos, was that we lived in a house without burglar bar. We live in a house without fence around the yard, and people respected your boundary. Can you imagine? You have an imaginary boundary, and people respect your imaginary boundary. We walk on streets in communities where the street is clean and people don't habitually drop anything on the ground because they've been socialized to be clean. We have a situation where if you pick up the phone and call the police and say that you have an emergency, they're there within a few minutes. You have a situation where if you see something going not too right with your neighbor and you pick up the phone because the neighbor is infringing on your space or whatever, you pick up the phone and you call and they call the neighbor and said to the neighbor, you can't really do that or whatever, or clarify what's going on. And you just have this sense of safety. You have this experience of cleanliness. You have this experience of order, efficiency. I have run business in Canada. I've done very well in business in Canada. And one of the things I observed, I have never had to go to a politician for anything to be able to succeed in my business. I never had to beg a politician anything. I never had to suck up to a politician for anything. I didn't have to get any special blighs. There was no special deals. I was able to plan, design, and develop my product and sell and do okay. Now, why can't we have that in Jamaica? So when I came back here and I spent my first 2 years just observing, going through all the process again, and I compare everything. My gosh, everything that would take me, say, 1 hour in Canada will take me a day in Jamaica. I said, no, sir. We can't be productive if you're going to have to spend a full working day or a half a working day for something that should take you 1 to 2 hours to get done. Something is wrong with that. And I realize that people are always security. Security accounts for 19% of your business budget. Security. Now, that makes you uncompetitive, Carlos.
That's
In
true.
Canada, security would account for less than 1% of my budget. But here it's 19%. That means I can't compete with anybody producing elsewhere. My house, I'm building my house. I can't put the money into just the nice things I want into my house. I have to spend a lot of money on imported steel to put grills all around my house. Just imagine the cost savings and that money not going into export, because if I have to buy steel, we don't make steel here. So all of us who have to put all this grill work around our house, we're putting pressure on the Jamaican dollar because we have to be importing steel. And the Jamaican dollar is weakened because this is just one example I'm giving you. Just imagine a Jamaica where you no longer have to put whole heap of steel around your house as security measures. Just imagine a Jamaica where your business doesn't lose 18 to 19% because of security costs. The margin improvements, the ability to increase salaries, invest in research and development. These are the things we need to understand. And unfortunately, those who we have trusted with our government have not been able to understand and fix those problems, Carlos.
It has been like that for since I was born for decades. So
Yes,
I really realized at my age that change look like it's not gonna come unless we change something, because I
yes,
honestly believe that we cannot keep doing the same thing and expect
a
different
different
results.
result. No,
And
that's
that's why
insanity.
we cannot keep doing the same thing and beating the same old drum, saying the same old things, crying the
Mhm.
same tear.
Yes,
That's not gonna work. We have to get serious and we have to know what we want. And what are we gonna tell our grandkids later on? My father used to
absolutely.
tell me how government politician thief and them nowadays, and I saw the things set and I saw the things stay and I saw the things
Hmm.
set and I saw it set in
Hmm.
the mall. And I came up, I was telling my kids them the same thing. I saw the things set, I saw the things stay, politician
Yeah,
and
yeah,
thief and set in the mall. So when my kid, what my kids are gonna say to their grandkids, the same thing.
yeah. Exactly.
So the
And
things
it's
set and all this
look at what
stuff.
we have
So
now. We recently elected. Oh, by the way, let me say good night to Sophia Murray. Thank you for chiming in, Sophia. But let me say this: our current prime minister is the first prime minister that's born post independence, right? Post independence prime minister, and people had great hopes and expectations that he was going to be different, that things will be different now. We now have a young man in office. We have somebody born post 1962, and it's going to be better. But here what they missed. They missed, Carlos, the fact that he has been trained by the same people who have been in power before. He was tutored by them, trained
don't
by
know
them,
better.
and prepared
Don't
by
know
them.
better.
And so when we talk about electing young politicians, we have to be careful. It's not the age which matter. What matters is the content of the person's character. What matters is the training that they have received prior to. Now, what makes me very different from Andrew Holness, for example, is that I am not a career politician. Andrew spent his entire working life in politics. I've spent my entire working life working for what I want, like ordinary Jamaicans. I've had to take care of a family. No special privileges. I don't get any special security. I don't get any special blighs. I had to work hard and achieve everything. While when you're in politics for so long, for 25 years, you get used to the privileges And that's why sometimes I think he's out of touch with the realities affecting Jamaicans when he's making these COVID laws and mashing up our small businesses and destroying our families and sending our children back a whole year or more, because this is going to have long lasting effect. He doesn't get it. He's used to the privileges of being in the political elite, rubbing shoulders with those who can afford to work from home, for example, who have their paychecks going in, every month nice to their account. They probably have a good public bodies job, one of those special jobs created for political activists. And there are many of them, it's 128 of such bodies where they can put people in position because they are members of their parties and support them. No, the average Jamaicans, the one he was ridiculing the other day, the ones who have to buy the 2 pound of flour or the big jilla oil or the half pound of chicken back, those who he was ridiculing, those people who they're the ones suffering because of his poor decisions, you see. But him can't appreciate it. He can do the theatrics sometimes, and he can fool the people sometimes, but every now and again it going to slip out, Carlos. It going to slip out, and the people going to see who you really are. And we saw who he really is. We saw that he doesn't appreciate what's going on with the people at the bottom. But here's the bigger problem, Carlos. Many people have tuned out of politics because they have been failed so often. People at home and people abroad. They've been failed so often. So
That
they
is
have tuned
true.
out. So now what is going on is a number of die-hearted people are now voting on behalf of the entire nation. So 30% vote for the 100%. Now the other 70%,
Therefore,
or 60 odd percent, right? Here's the problem with them. They don't realize that allowing these 30% or 37% to vote on their behalf isn't going to fix the problem. And those of us, Carlos, who are outside of Jamaica and say, me done with Jamaica, me not bother. What they don't realize is that where they're living, no matter how long they're living there, that is not really their country. And things can change overnight. So
anytime.
it's a good idea for us, even if we live overseas and even if we don't plan to ever come back to live here, let's just fix up our yard just in case. You understand? Let's fix up our
Mhm.
yard just in case. That's why I encourage every Jamaican, buy a piece of land in a Jamaica. Even if you're not build, not just buy it and own it for now. Next thing you can do, if you can, buy a property. Maybe you just buy a rental property, a townhouse, a couple of townhouses. Just buy something. Own a piece of your country. Don't just give up on it. And then now show an interest. And here's where you can show interest. You can say, listen, we know what the PNP and GLP have done to Jamaica. Let's try UIC. Let's invest in a movement that has Jamaica's best interest at heart. Why? Go and look at our website, read our manifesto, and you'll see there's nothing in it for me and my team except a better Jamaica. We will not get an advantage economically because we're remodeling the government to shift the hands of the politicians and back into the hands of the people. And if we do that, Carlos, what's going to happen? Politics will become a little boring because we're now going to just focus on doing our jobs, and the economy is going to begin to boom and the grassroots begin to be uplifted, and they now become fully involved in their economy and see upward mobility. No more ghettos, no more students being left behind because the system isn't prepared for them. And we have no more old zinc houses and board houses because we move the people up. Just like how Lee Kuan Yew did it in Singapore, we can do it right here in Jamaica too. We can do just as good as any other country, my friend Carlos. Did you freeze again?
Sorry about that. Sorry about
No.
that. Can you hear me?
Yes, man. Go ahead.
Can't hear.
You're a bit low. But yes, Sophia Murray, time for a change indeed. Absolutely. Absolutely. Uh, And we don't want no more Messiah. We don't want any Messiah as leaders. We want hardworking, Jamaicans as our politicians. And we don't want any career politician. We don't want anybody going to sit down in there for 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. We don't
Can't
need
hear
that. We need good governance. Yeah. Okay, so Carlos can't hear me. So, yes, as we're here
me.
waiting for Carlos to come back, um, yeah, go ahead, Carlos.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I really can't hear you. Somebody call and
You can't hear
first time
me.
they call, they put my Bluetooth. Next time they call, I can't hear right here. So,
No problem. Sorry, no problem.
like,
Yeah.
I
So
really
my
can't hear.
friends out there
Like,
who are listening, we're
um,
really
let me get off. Let me get off and try to come back in.
sure, sure.
All right.
Okay. Yes. So the main thrust of this live tonight is really to talk about the media censorship of the UIC and how we're going to combat that. All right. Um, I am I am depending on each of you to share the UIC with your friends and your families and your co-workers here in Jamaica and abroad. A lady asked me recently, she said, I can't help because I am overseas. And I said, no, man, you can help. Every Jamaican, wherever you are, you can help. You can volunteer and you can donate to the movement. All right. We have let me open this up here. We have a number of committees that you can serve on. You can help with the constitution committee because we're building a new constitution for Jamaica, so you can join the constitution committee and help. You can join the policy and planning committee. You can join the education committee. You can join the fundraising committee. You can join the capital club committee where we're helping small businesses locally in Jamaica, micro businesses to grow. So there are so many things you can do by joining the UIC and joining one of our committees and helping to build Jamaica. Welcome back, Carlos.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man.
Good. You
I'm
were
glad to be
saying,
back. Yeah.
yes.
You see, one of the biggest big thing in Jamaica, I see, our problem is the youth. That's a
Mm,
major. For any building of Jamaica has to include the youth. The youth
mm-hmm,
cannot be left out. The youths are not yesterday thing.
mm-hmm.
Like I did in videos, no matter how fast you drive, you're gonna see those youth in a rearview mirror. They are the
Absolutely.
future, and we cannot shake them. And I've yet to see things set in place for our youth. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying that anything we're gonna do to move Jamaica forward, we have to hug the youth. We gotta embrace them and take them with us. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm
We
saying?
have to, yeah, we have to make sure there's a couple of things, Carlos. If you look at it, we have our young people in basic school, and for some strange reason, we allow many of them to fail in basic school, from primary. Uh, why not catch it there? So basic school, how do you catch it at basic school? First of all, we have to ensure that at the basic school level, we have quality and competent teachers. Okay, basic. If you don't have quality and competent teachers at the basic school, you have a problem. However, they move on to the primary school, they fail there so too, because again, we don't have qualified, competent teachers and classroom sizes and structures to make sure it works. But then again, they fail at primary. Now they go on to secondary school, high school. Again, they fail. And then after that, now we have another set of money we have to pay now. We call it the Heart Academy. We send them now to Heart Academy again. Now, it tell me if I'm wrong. The money that we're going to spend for Heart Academy, right? After we allow them to fail 3 times, why we never just spend it and make sure they succeed at the beginning? You understand?
That's true.
Why didn't
Yep.
we just make sure? Why you have to now finish 18 years of failure and then now go spend another money here? Why not bring the trades training program properly into the school, the secondary school? Sure, the math and language skills are properly developed at the basic and primary school. Why do we have to spend more money again through all kind of remedial courses? Secondarily, why don't we have a system like Germany where our students become apprentices from secondary school. So they're learning technical trades, but not just in a school setting. They're being paired with industry so that they're learning employment skills. They're learning to operate beside skilled workers already and learning from them during these formative years. That's what Germany does. That's why they make such high quality products, because their kids know how to measure and design and engineer things from secondary school, from high school. So these are things we can do in Jamaica. They're not very hard. We're spending the money. We're just not spending it in the right place and in the right way. Secondly, we can't allow, for example, in our schools now we have entrepreneurship. And we have teachers who have never run a business in their entire life teaching entrepreneurship. How can you have somebody who doesn't know what they're teaching what they want the children to learn? You can't have that. So my approach is I would change that structure and have a system where successful entrepreneurs are coming back part-time into the classroom to augment and teach the entrepreneurship program. We have competent people in the industrial trades coming into the school as professionals, a special segment for them, and they're a part of the curriculum structure so that the children are learning from people who have done what they're asking them to learn, not from people who are just teaching what they don't know. You understand? And then we have to get those children now, as soon as they can, side by side in industry, learning. We have to also make sure that we change the importation laws so that technologies can come into Jamaica quicker. Advanced technologies, advanced equipment, rather than when I left Jamaica using a lathe back in the 1990s, and I went for a job in Canada because I was an engineer at the time, and I said, "Hey, I know how to use a lathe," and they said to me, "She sure?" I said, "Yes, man." He says, "Okay, come." And he took me around to the section and said, "Here, show me how you use that." I had no idea. The thing was a PLC lathe. I've never even heard of a PLC lathe in my entire life. I know about the little mechanical one that you round the thing and you
Yeah,
check the gauge and you try and get it right. This one,
yeah,
you need to go to a machine, just put the bar inside, punch in the codes. You already program the sequence and then say hit and it goes. So I was not prepared and I didn't know that I wasn't prepared. I didn't know how backwards I was. I thought I was somebody because I was coming to Canada having been an assistant manager at the sugar company in instrumentation, using their antiquated equipment, thinking I know something. Only to go there another man and tell me, "Mr. Patterson, you don't know anything." Now, we have to make sure that never happens to our people. We have to bring the technology early. And the way to do that is to stop putting unnecessary tariffs and duties on technology we do not produce. We don't produce it. So why are you blocking it? Why are you trying to block our importation of things we do not produce? You're destroying us. You're putting us behind. On top of that, here's what they don't understand. When I buy a piece of equipment, Carlos, and because of your importation duty for my manufacturing concern, that equipment which would have cost me 20,000 US dollars now cost me 40,000.
mm,
What would my cost of production be that I can be competitive with the man from the other country? I lose already. I did 50%, no, 100% more expensive on my equipment than him. So my production cost per unit is going to be much higher than his. Therefore, my selling price will be higher than his. Therefore, my competitiveness will be lower than his. Therefore, I am out of business. And that's why Jamaica, our manufacturing sector, is destroyed. Similarly, you manipulate the energy sector because you have manipulated and created an unnecessary monopoly and not freeing up the access to technology for Jamaicans to compete. Our energy cost is significantly higher than our competitors, right? We're not
yep.
harnessing biogas to use. We're not harnessing solar effectively. We're not harnessing hydro effectively. We're not harnessing geo thermal energy, if any at all, much more effectively. And therefore, our energy mix is too expensive, which drives our manufacturing sector out of competitiveness. I know I'm talking
And that,
long enough, but these are the kind
but
of issues that we need a government to address properly.
it's a real talk. It's constructive conversation. We're gonna, as you talk about the thing about here in Florida, when you drive around Florida here, when you see any mountain in Florida, the mountain that I've seen around here in Fort Lauderdale,
Yeah.
garbage mountain, right? These mountains are made out of garbage. So all of these mountains, what I know they have these mountains, they have them in California too. The
Mm,
landfill, or the
mm,
landfill, the Jamaica
yes.
equivalent, Riverton City, right?
Hmm.
We dump the garbage. This is 2021. I'm still
Yes.
wondering how come we haven't cracked the code in making methane gas from the garbage that is in Riverton City.
Absolutely.
Almost every year we have a fire. Almost
Yes.
every year we have smoke up. The city of Kingston is covered with smoke from the burning rubbish. So I
Yeah.
think we should start thinking about these stuff. Another thing, these are the stuff that we're not thinking about, making methane gas from the
Yeah.
garbage itself.
Where's our
Right
engineers?
here,
Where are our engineers? Why where are our we Jamaica graduates many engineers every year from UTech and UE. Where are they? Why aren't they being employed in research and development and in practical application of one of the reasons why we don't do so well? Even our textbooks teach us things that are, first of all, behind the times, and secondly, what we're learning is late technology of first world countries that are designed also for their environment. Now, Jamaica is a warm tropical climate, which means production of methane gas is very easy for us. We actually grow most of the fuel already. We have it here. We grow the fuel easily. It's on the roadside every day. We're not harvesting them. So I'm just trying to show you that the problem we have is we don't have our leaders are not they're not incentivized to do what is right for Jamaica. They go for short-term solution, which is to borrow and spend and tax. Borrow, spend, and tax. Not invest in innovation, in creative thinking, in production, and that is holding us back, Carlos.
another thing again, as you walk, you drive through Jamaica, you see again, which is this is 2021. I can't believe when I go to Jamaica, I see so many bottles in the gullies by the roadside,
Yes, yes,
plastic
yes,
bottle and cans here. That is money right here in
yes,
America.
yes,
Plastic
yes.
bottles and cans. You have people literally drive and walk and ride,
Hmm.
search every garbage around here, picking out the plastic bottles and
Hmm.
aluminum cans to recycle.
For
In
recycling,
Jamaica,
yes.
is we are poor country. You
Hmm.
want to tell me that nobody in our country seems to want to make some money or recycle these things? I
The
mean,
roadblock,
I
the
believe
roadblock.
if you're gonna, I believe if you're gonna produce something
Hmm.
that you kind of break down, you should make it.
Yes. The,
If you're
the,
gonna
the
produce
problem.
soda, if you're gonna produce
Mhm.
soda out of plastic bottle, we need to change the bottle. If we cannot break the bottle down, because
Yes.
all we're gonna have is a pollution and it's piling up. We have
And the
nowhere to take
reason
it and crush it up.
and the reason
And the
it's
man,
piling up, all of this is because of government policy. You see, government policy does not incentivize the collection of these items and the recycling of these items. Government policy disincentivize. And so the easiest thing to do is that if the person who is drinking from the can knew that the can was valuable, they'll change their behavior. But
they
let's say
will.
they don't know. Let's say they don't know that it's valuable. Let's say they throw it out. But somebody else know it's valuable.
So it's
Like
not gonna
when
be on the roadside.
I'll show you something. When I came back to Jamaica here, I knew how valuable cardboard was. So when you go to the supermarket, they'll take the cardboard boxes and they would throw them away and then burn them and stuff like that. I said, no, 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 no. Don't do that. Give me the cardboard boxes. Now I use them in my farming technique to create proper mulching surfaces and to hold in biodiversity into the soil and build that up underneath and then create more nourishment. So I don't have to use bought fertilizer or imported fertilizer. I create my own and I use that over large surfaces, 2 3 acres you can cover with it. All of a sudden, other farmers found out about the techniques. Now you can't go and get the box them anymore at the supermarket because now they learn the value of it. Now I used to
Yes,
get it
yes.
for free before because nobody knew the value. Now if I wanted to have to pay for it because others have now picked up. Now That's just me, one man doing something. Just imagine if we had an intelligent government that could help our people, help our industries, help our entrepreneurs to be able to see what can be done, and there's no policy roadblocks in front of them, right? No artificial barriers created by the government, no onerous regulations that prevents them. And now you'll have our entrepreneurs and our engineers and our smart Jamaicans, because all it takes is one smart person per 100,000 to change the entire economy of the 100,000. One, So
We have
Jamaica have 3 million people. So if you just take one per 100, that's going to do something phenomenal, which we can do. We're creative people naturally. The only roadblock we have, Carlos, is our government and its policies and their regulations and their taxations and their corruption that gets in the way of our creativity and ingenuity and entrepreneurship.
there's a lot of smart people in our country, all right, Mr. Patterson. When
Yeah.
this COVID just began, we saw some inventors in Jamaica came out making respirators and all kind of stuff. Where are they at now? I don't see nobody pushing them.
No,
Where are
they
they at?
can't go any. Yeah, they can't go any further because they're going to run into some government roadblocks. Because the way things happen here, if the politician can't see where him get a big mileage out of what you are doing, they shut you down directly or indirectly. The typical young person, the process of getting a bank account open, the process of registering your business, the process of passing through their other regulatory hoops and the cost involved, it just deters many. It kills. Remember, now, most young people cannot access capital. There's no easy access to capital for them, right? So if the economy is not built in a way that foments that cause capital to emerge out of the private sector, then all you have is government programs. And once you go to the government programs, you're involved in politics now because they're going to play politics with you. But if you have a good private market where it's easy for lenders to come to the market and it's easy for people to try and fail, right? Try and fail and try again. And you have that kind of entrepreneurial spirit built into the policy of government and built into the economy. That's how we grow. That's how America grew. That's what gave America the big leap. Okay? Now we in Jamaica need to free up the people and get less politics, less political involvement, and more openness for the ordinary Jamaican to quickly move through and invent and create and test and try and fail and succeed and bam, open up many industries and create jobs in Jamaica. Right now, our biggest impediment is government and politicians blocking the people from achieving their full potentials.
That is so true. And with all that what said, all the above that said a while ago, it's so beautiful, right? So
Yes.
beautiful if all this stuff become on the surface. But we have one big problem, brother. The crime. No matter what great ideas we have and great minds, do you know how many people I talk to, especially in recent months?
Hmm.
These people are saying that they're not coming back.
No,
Do you
yeah.
know how many people
Yeah.
have seen it more and more and more?
Hmm. Hmm.
And what I noticed is that when people used to start saying that they're not coming back to
Yes.
Jamaica, there were people on social media who used to bash them. But
Yes.
as we
Yes.
see this more and more, people on social media stop bashing them because you cannot
Hmm.
wrong these people for saying they don't want to come back.
Hmm.
You cannot because people can walk around their community late at night, whatever hour
Hmm.
at night, take a long
Hmm.
walk, and
Yes.
nobody bother
And
them.
no problem. Yes.
You
Yes.
can go
Yes.
to Walmart and come in a dark parking lot
Yes.
uh, with a bunch of bags, and you can't even find the
Hmm.
phone and the keys. And you go
Yes.
to your place, and nobody is gonna hurt you. So
Yes.
so people are looking at the retirement as they reach a certain age,
Hmm.
the dream that we have of going back to Jamaica,
Hmm.
and all the big vision
Plans. Yeah.
and big plans.
Yeah.
Um, I was telling somebody today that we love Jamaica, but Jamaica don't love us.
Well, here's the problem. Here's the problem. We, all of us in the diaspora, need to take a page out of my book. If you want something to happen, you have to be a part of the solution. We can't just simply say we're not coming back. We have to say, what do we need to do to come back? What do we need to do? If I see people sit down there in America, Canada, and the UK, and they look at the Jamaica and they say, it's bad. I'm gonna go back. No, you must say, it's bad. What can I do to make it so that I can go back to Jamaica? Now, I have taken the leap on your behalf. I am representing I am representing all of us in the diaspora who want to come back. I came back to Jamaica at 40 years old. I put my practice on the line. I put my family on the line. I put my economy, my personal economy on the line, my own finances on the line. I am the John the Baptist for you. You're the Jesus. I am the John the Baptist. I have paved the way. I come back, I organize a political party. I go through all the torture of that, and they did torture me. But I went through all, and I battled with them and fought with them and overcame. Now we have an opportunity. We have a vehicle. Don't leave me one for drive it. Everybody take a seat on the bus.
I believe, I
Somebody,
believe
yeah,
that.
man, somebody must be conductor. Somebody at the end of the front seat, somebody in the middle, and some in the back. And if we bring our talents together, bring our expertise, bring our time together, bring our treasure to pool together, and let us lead a new political movement for a real new Jamaica. That's what we can do. So instead of saying we're not going back, say, listen, things bad at Jamaica, things very bad. But here we mega do. Mega join hands with the people them in the UIC and create a new Jamaica. We're going to make sure we fix the political system, fix the crime system, fix the education system, fix the healthcare system. We go and do that. We, the Jamaicans in the diaspora and the Jamaicans in Jamaica who are tired of the tribalization, who are tired of the failures. And we can do it. We
Real
can do
talk.
it.
You see, what you said a while ago. Yeah, I think, what I think is our government, PNP and Labour Rights, would have reached out to the diaspora in a respectable way, acknowledge
Yes.
diaspora, us in the diaspora. Jamaica would be a different place.
Very
I
different
think
place.
I think these politicians over the years never really activate the power of the diasporans.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
didn't activate that because
Mhm.
they don't know what they miss. Imagine your people, poor people, uneducated. A lot of us, when we leave Jamaica,
Mhm.
poor,
Mhm.
uneducated, flew overseas, all over the world. Went back
Yes.
to school, people start work, in a better life, knowledge, power. You want to tell me that you don't want to ask some of these people, hey, what have you learned, guys? Anything good out there you want to bring back here? I mean,
Mhm.
come on. And
But
there's
that
so
at
many
that
people.
at that China do China send out their people. Remember that China was a poor, backward communist country,
30,
and
40 years
China
ago, they were very
and
poor.
yeah, and China sent out its people. Go America, go see what I'm gonna do. Go figure out their intellectual properties over there. Figure out their business model. Figure out their system. Go over the UK. Go figure out that one there. Go over to Canada. Go figure out that one there. Our government didn't send us out. We run away, some of us, because the economy was too bad. Some of us, even child abuse, run away from it, or our mother and father may have gone abroad and sent for us. All kind of reasons. We left Jamaica, many of us, on our own and with the help of family and friends. And we go abroad and we have learned. Some learn law, some learn medicine, some learn engineering, some learn biomechanics, some learn all kinds. It is in our best interest, Carlos, for us to say, come, let's bring that knowledge. You don't have to even come back to Jamaica right away. Just lend us the knowledge. Help us to make it work. Help us to figure it out. Help us to solve the problem. Even from where you are, you can advise on medicine. You can advise on engineering. You can advise on design, whatever it is. But you know what happened? The current set of politicians, they're afraid. They're afraid because they have a good thing going here. When you're a politician here in Jamaica, when you're elected, you're a god. The people worship you. Okay, you can fool them up with $5,000 in a T-shirt and give them a little bit of money, and you get access to a big amount of money. You can borrow money in their names. You can borrow billions of dollars in their names, and you're not going to pay it back. It's them going to pay it back. So you can borrow trillions of dollars like they've done, Siphon off some of that money. Build yourself a beautiful mansion so that when your friends from foreign come, you say, "Come into my lovely home." And you open your automatic gate with your cameras on the high walls, and your big bad dogs are inside, and your beautifully manicured lawn, and your chandeliers, and your marble tiles, and come in and have a drink, and you can show off, and you can live the high life, not caring that 90% of your country is living less than the standard they could be living. So you don't want these diasporans to come and mess with the program. And that's why they haven't invited you. They don't want you coming in and talking about good governance and talking about proper internal controls and checks and balances and talking about real community development and economic development. They don't want that. And modernization of your education system and bringing up the standard of your pupil. Them don't want that. Them no want the graduates from high school to come out and think and understand governance and reasoning and whatever. Them no want that. So it's not like they don't know that you have value to add and bring. They don't want what you have to bring because what you have to bring will take away from their kingship, their lordship. That's why they call themselves honorable and love it. How honorable is George Wright? How honorable was that? But they'd still want to be called honorable and most honorable. Well, tell you what, let them continue with what they may do. We now must do what we need to do. Let's build a political movement, a strong movement that draw upon the knowledge and expertise of the diaspora and the best of our Jamaicans here at home. Even though I tell you something, I talk to the people on the street and I get good advice from the little market woman or the person who buy the 2 pound of flour and the big jar of oil. They're not idiots. They have just been misled, mistreated, and disenfranchised. And we, the people, we, the Jamaicans from across the world, all 7 million of us, because that's how many of us out there, all 7 million of us, let us come together and rescue our country from the small little group that is determined to keep us where we are. Let us take it from them and give it back to ourselves.
Yeah, I did bit like this before where I've said our brothers and sisters in Jamaica need us.
Yes,
Some of them are so beaten and battered. They can't even speak. They don't know the wrong from right.
exactly.
And if you don't have a certain knowledge, like a lot of us who came overseas, dunce, uneducated, didn't know the
Mhm.
light. I would came over here and see the light. So
Yes,
I think it's time for us to help our brothers and sisters in Jamaica because most of the pushback I see and a lot of policy and stuff in Jamaica are from us in the diaspora.
yes,
Most of
yes, yes.
Jamaican people they don't talk back, they don't push back, they're
They just take
scared,
it.
they just take
And
the beating.
Carlos, let me tell you why though. Don't misunderstand. If you see the life of a typical Jamaican, right? It's a hustle from morning to night. A hustle. I mean, geez, you want to see the typical single mother who is making even 100,000 a month. You might think that a money enough to make that. Many of them make somewhere between 40 and $50,000 a month. And but imagine a mother with 3 children, and she make $100,000 a month, and she have to figure out. Listen, one grocery basket, one decent grocery basket today is $20,000 for the month. A basic decent basket, okay? 20,000, for the month. Then there's light bill, there's water, there's rent. Rent going knock off another 30 to $50,000 out of that. You understand me? And you have to find bus fare and lunch money for yourself and the pick of them. That person now have no time to even spend much time thinking about politics and how to. So they leave it up to other people. They leave it to somebody else to solve. And who is the somebody else? The two party they know. And because they see that it's not working, they just say, we're done with politics altogether. And they just
They
leave
keep
it.
juggling the two
Yes.
parts players.
And what they don't realize, while they're there trying to juggle, it'll get worse. Because remember, when Andrew came into power, the exchange rate was about 120 to 1. So while they left him alone, it moved from 120 to 150. So you that is juggling and trying to survive and not paying attention to what's going on, your purchasing power just gone down. Okay? And if you continue to do nothing, it will continue to go down. And guess what? You also know as a single mother and you're working hard and hustling, if you're coming home late, you have to worry about being abducted, raped, murdered, leave your kids alone. You have to worry about your kids. You have to try to get them pick up safely from schools. You have to pay extra money for somebody to watch them and whatever because the kids might be abducted and raped. Now they're being schooled from home. You have to go to work. Who is going to be caring for them when you're at home? Right? You have to now buy extra data. Before you used to have to just worry about data in the evening and on weekends. Now you have to find data for the entire day, for the entire week out of your little pay. And your hours cut at work because of the curfew time, they cut the hours at work, so you're not getting the same amount of hours and the same amount of pay anymore. You understand what I'm talking about, Carlos? These
Let
are the
me let
kind
me
of
let me let
things
me let me add
happening.
let me
Yeah.
add to let me
Yes.
piggyback up but let me piggyback off of what you said. Let me add to it.
Yeah.
Not
Yes,
to
man.
mention those people, Mr. Patterson, who have
Yes.
to go every day to find
Yes.
food for that day. There
Every
are
day.
people there's
Yes.
a people in my country right now who
Yes.
have to go today to find
Yes.
food for today, not
Today.
tomorrow.
Exactly.
Today and tomorrow they have to go to find food for tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
So
Yes.
imagine the old lady with the one bunch of banana were ripe in
Yeah.
her backyard. We grew up in Jamaica. All of us know this.
Yes.
One bunch of banana ripe in the backyard. The old lady eat three quarters of it. Then she save a few, maybe two or three handout out to ripe.
Mhm.
You understand me? To go
Mhm.
and market go sell. I've seen people brought two hands of banana to sell. I've
Yes.
seen people brought 2 dozen lime to sell only.
Yes.
I've seen people brought a dozen or 2 dozen ackee to sell just to
Mhm.
buy some piece of chicken back or some
Mhm.
kerosene oil in the lamp.
Exactly. Exactly. And them have a child at home without electricity that needs to study. Okay, without a tablet, and the government is saying, the government, the government is saying, stay at home and study at home, and things will be good and okay. And that child don't have electricity because it cut off, or a thief them did a thief it all the time, and now things not working out too well. The tablet that they got secondhand not working properly because it's secondhand.
Or they gotta go
Yeah.
somewhere to use their internet, but it's curfew, so they
Exactly.
can't go nowhere.
Exactly, exactly. Them hungry now too, because remember, it's a little bit of food. And guess what? In my community here, which is a farming community, so the farmer said, "No, bro, no worry, mummy, no worry, mummy. At least we have two little chicken and some pumpkin, and we have a piece of yam or grow and stuff and whatever." And then wake up the next morning, Lord of mercy, them tea pumpkin. Them dig up the piece of yam and thief it. Them thief the chicken. Them thief the goat. I'm serious. This is the kind of thing, right? And the more the government pressure we with bad policy, is the more the thief go up, right? Nowadays, I mean, every minute now the thief, the people them goat. They stole my goats. I lost goats. They come to my yard and thief my goat. And they come down to my neighbor and just pull up a vehicle and thief some more goats. So everywhere you turn, so you're trying to hustle, you're trying to survive, you're trying to make things work. And you have to worry about the government that pressure you and the thief that pressure you. And the exchange rate that pressure you. The cost of living that pressure you. You understand? The school system that pressure you. What will happen? You're going to see more stealing, more murders, more domestic violence, more
And depressed
suicide.
people.
Yes.
Depressed people. Because
Depressed. Yeah.
most people who are out of job, most depressed people are the ones who are out of job or divorced.
Exactly.
Single
Oh
people,
yes. Yes.
single people,
Yeah.
and people are unemployed, depressed the most. So can you
Absolutely.
imagine about the unemployed people or broke people? No wonder why
Absolutely.
husband and wife fight.
Yes.
Eh?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And I mean, if you were a young person in Jamaica, I mean, I'm sorry for young people here. I mean, sorry. It's like you can't see a future. You can't see a way out. There's no job, right? And if the job is there, you're not qualified for it. it because a vast majority of our graduates, from high school barely don't have 3, 4, 5 subjects. And in today's world, you need more than that if you're going to move ahead. And they don't have 3 or 4 or 5 subjects. And so here they are in this country, and they wake up every morning. There's no job to go to. They can't find a job that's comparable. If they find a job, guess what happened? The cost of travel and the cost of food each day is equal to or greater than the income associated with the job. So that's not bother with that. They just
You
stay
see,
home. Yes.
if I think, if, like you said, approach the education system from young,
Yes, sir.
what I think, and I did video like this already, I think coding should be taught for free in my country. Should be free in all the
No,
school, primary
listen,
school.
from
Coding
day
should be
one.
free.
From day one.
Coding should be free because now, like you said, remember when I have a job,
Yes.
this is something that we
Yes.
know. There's no
Yes.
job in Jamaica. Let's be like India and China. Let's build
Absolutely.
the people and send them out in the world. Do you know that in
Absolutely.
Silicon Valley, in California, where Silicon Valley is, you know that most of the people who work there are from India? Indians are the
Yes,
most.
man. Yes, man. Yes, yes.
India from Indians from India, they're like a
Mhm.
worker bee because they're so bright. Even the tech industry is a male-dominated industry, and most
Yes.
females you see in the tech industry
Indian
are
females.
Indians,
Indians. But
Indian
Carlos,
scientists and engineers.
Carlos, watch this. Watch this carefully. Jamaica is right next door to America. Our official language is English. Okay? Now, if you ever hear an Indian try to speak English, what I talk about.
Yes,
So
man.
our official language is supposed to be English, and we are just next door to America. Why on Why on earth? We now have all of them thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs that the Indians are getting way
Come right.
over there in India. Way
We are
over
not
there in India.
prepared. We are not prepared. We did not put
Exactly.
ourselves in the position to catch the ball. Cause right now, if America
Exactly.
said, Jamaicans, I need 1,000 of
Yeah,
you guys taking, we're
yeah,
gonna find them.
exactly. And so what does that tell you? It tells you that we have trusted two parties for over 70 years, over 75 years to ready us, to prepare us, to lead us, so that we would have been the beneficiary and recipient of the crumbs that fall from the American table, the crumbs of additional income opportunities, because they need the help, That's why they go to India. They need the help. That's why they go to China. But just imagine if our leaders had prepared us, we could have been
They need help
providing
because
that help.
70% of the people who work in
Yes,
Silicon Valley in America in tech are
yes,
immigrants.
yes,
70.
exactly, exactly. And we have
I do
our
feel like this.
children.
Yes, and the bright
Listen, our
Facebook,
children.
Google, Tesla need you. It doesn't matter where you
Yes,
come from. You just have
yes,
to apply yourself. I did in
yes,
video like this already, If
yes,
you are from Jamaica and your best and your brightest, Facebook need you. Google
yes,
need you.
yes.
Yahoo need you. Tesla
But guess
need
what?
you. GoPro need you.
But guess what, Carlos? We can't do maths. We can't communicate. No, hold on. Our official language is English, And if I talk to some of our primary school and basic school children, they cannot speak English, Carlos, in this country where the official language. I have no problem with patois. In fact, I believe we must respect and honor our patois. That is our language. But Lee Kuan Yew was very smart. Lee Kuan Yew, remember, they're over in the China side here. Singapore is near to China. And Lee Kuan Yew made sure, he said to his people, you must master the English language in addition to your language, because English is the language of the future. Now, him said that from 1960, okay? From 1960, him said that. Why we so blind? Why we never
Excuse me.
make sure?
For
Yeah,
charging. Hold on.
yes. Yeah, man. Why our leaders did not make sure that the Jamaican population is highly competent in the English language and highly competent in mathematics and highly competent in science and highly competent in technology. Why? Because they
We
don't
have to
care.
step up to the fore because
Yeah,
other countries are stepping up and
yeah.
they are stepping up big. You know what? I'm wondering if our leaders don't know what is going on in the world. I was
They
saying to
know what
somebody
is
the
going
other
on.
day,
They don't care. They don't care. They don't
man,
care, Carlos. They don't care.
because look, we cannot find work for our youngsters out there who they like the guys out there, they love gadgets.
Mhm.
Those
Yes,
kids in Jamaica, they love computers. They love it. They
absolutely,
love it.
absolutely.
They
Yeah,
love computer.
yeah.
So I'm
You
saying
give a
that why
baby,
can't
you give
we?
a baby a phone, give a baby a phone and see how quickly they figure it out. A baby. But here what
Yes,
happened, Carlos. Here what happened. Just hold your thought here for a second. Here's what happened. Our politicians know what's going on. Yeah, and they understand. I know this. Go to any of them house and see how much care they put into it. Their houses, they spend the time and energy making sure that they have enough money to build themselves a lovely home. All of their homes have the latest gadgets. They have internet, they have solar energy, they have security systems, surveillance system, they have automated gates. They have all the nice things that any one of us would want. Now, why them can't think about having a nice country too? Why they can't say, I want a night, I want when I drive out of my palatial gate on my lovely tiled exit and my beautifully manicured lawn and my gate slide back behind me. I want when I drive out, I'm looking in a pristine society. Lovely roads, lovely sidewalks, well ornamented um, uh, flowers and grass and trees and solar street lights and just a beautiful environment. Why can't they want that for Jamaica? I tell you why. They have no respect for the people of Jamaica. They see the people of
that's
Jamaica
true.
as a means to get a food, and that's it. We are just a means for them to get a food. That's why they do what they do with us. That's why they don't care about modernizing our police, so it's a service and not a force. That's why they give us those awful hospitals and clinics, and they go abroad and get what they need. That's why they send their kids abroad to school. You understand? Because they do not care about we. They still see us the same way the slave master saw us, the same way the colonial master saw us, a means to an end. They just suck out what they can get and just leave us to suffer and perish.
I was saying the same to somebody yesterday that these politicians are looking at us through the 1950s and 60s lens. They're not looking
Yes,
at us as
no,
some smart, bright Jamaicans.
no,
They're
no.
acting like we are the same Jamaicans back in the 70s.
Yeah, yeah.
They're not acting like we are 2021 Jamaican,
Hmm.
and that's
No,
where they go wrong, you know?
yeah,
Because, like I said, we have Jamaicans in right now in Dubai, architect. You and I know that you can't be no fenke architect to be working in Dubai. You know,
mhm,
Dubai has
yes.
some of the best building in the world. You
Hmm.
know, so and but our best and the brightest can't survive here in Jamaica. They have to fly
They have
overseas.
to leave. They have to leave because they
Don't,
can't.
har-
They can't get
don't
the job.
we don't harness the best and the brightest, whether they are right
Mhm.
there in Jamaica
Yes,
about to get their education through college and fly
yes,
over our university and fly overseas,
yes,
or they do not harness the Jamaicans who already
yes,
left the island and in the diaspora. Some
yes.
of us are not engineers and all these things,
No, no.
but
Different things.
we have different knowledge. I think if
Mhm,
our leaders ever get on that microphone and talk
mhm,
straight to us in
mhm,
diaspora, they'll see
mhm,
some action. But they never
mhm,
did.
mhm.
They
No,
never did.
no.
They never
And they don't
did.
want it. They don't want it. They all
Because
they
we're
well,
gonna need
listen. They love to call meetings and conferences. So they'll invite you. They say like oh they're gonna watch this video now. Let me tell you, they're gonna watch because Andrew watches all of my videos. And then tomorrow morning they come out with something that sound like what I said. Okay? So they're going to come and say, listen, we want the diaspora or whatever, but it's only to have meetings. It's to have meetings and talk and to to pat you on the shoulder, on the back, and to say, yeah, man, we are interested and whatever. But it's not to do anything. We want real change. We don't want any more just talk. We want real substantive change. And if they're not going to change the system of government, which has been used to destroy us, then there's no point. If the system doesn't change, if it's just talk and you're not going to change the system, then there's no point. So we have to make sure that they don't trick us again. They're good at tricking, They're very good at tricking because they know. See, Jamaicans, we have some problems. We have short-term memory. We're easily misled by announcements. So if they announce that they're going to do coding, we clap as if the coding is done. We clap as if they have now solved the problem just by them announcing something. If they said, "Oh, we're against violence against women," we clap. "Oh, they said it." No, 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 no. Show me that you're against violence. And guess what? They
Action.
showed us. They showed us in the George Wright situation that they're not against violence against women. They're against protecting men who beat women. They're for keeping the law in place that requires the victim to come and be further victimized by having to they can be pressured now by others to say, don't go, man, don't go and press the charges because you're going to mash up the man career, you're going to mash up the man business. And by the way, remember, him will give you money already, you're going to lose the money. So the pressure, instead of them creating laws that says, once we see that you have done this, once we have evidence, we don't need the victim to confess that they have been victimized. We prosecute this because you have violated a human being. And we have records of you doing that. We have evidence of you doing that. So that they will talk a good talk. Because to be honest with you, Andrew is probably the best politician Jamaica has ever seen in a generation. Because he has figured out how to trick the Jamaican people, right? And we don't want no more tricksters. What we now want are substantive changes. We want real substantive changes in Jamaica. And so, Carlos, the only way we get that, we have to replace the two of them. We have to give Jamaica a fresh start. We have to have a new system. And we cannot continue to hope that good will come. I think it was Jesus who said, can you put new wine into an old wineskin? You understand? And what I mean by that, it not gonna work. The old wineskin can't take the new knowledge, can't take the new direction, can't take the new system. So what you have to do is get a new wineskin and let's pour new wine into it and create a real new Jamaica.
I agree. I agree. And
Yeah.
I'm down for a change, and with sure thousands of more people, maybe millions of people out here are down for a change. I've spoken to people who really love Jamaica. They love their
Yeah.
country, their heart, and they think that the only last chance they have at hope is to join the UIC, try something different. I've
Mhm.
spoken to a lot of people. They don't think that, and they know that the only chance we have because we've been doing the same thing. People are older now. Like I said,
Mhm.
I'm 50. I'm
Yeah.
50, man. What else? I
Yeah.
mean, I'm 50. I've been hearing the same thing over and over.
Over and
You know,
over.
things
Yeah.
gonna get better later. But the only man with profit is the undertaker.
But I
Come
tell you,
on.
no, it's serious. It's serious.
It's
Well,
serious.
Carlos, I want to thank you very much for being on tonight. It's been a good 1 hour and a half conversation. Thanks to
Yeah.
all of you who are online, Michibu, Devon Thompson, and all of you who are online tonight talking with us. We really appreciate it. And let's work together, man. Let's get on the bus. Let's get on the UIC bus and demand that the UIC do the right things. For example, demand that you have audited financial statements every year, which is what we have. Demand that you have annual reports, which is what we have. Demand that we have clear policies that you're aligned with, and that's what we have. Anything you say that you don't understand, ask questions. We won't agree on everything, but we must agree on the most important things. And I think if we agree and come and work together, we can build a new Jamaica, a better Jamaica. We cannot trust those who have failed us for so long. We need to now take matters into our own hands, and the time is now. Jamaica had its last election of tribalism. The next election is a UIC government for all Jamaicans across Jamaica. And by the way, the diaspora must be given the vote after the UIC win or before if the other parties decide to step up to the plate. We must become a republic. We can't have a white woman as head of state of Jamaica. We need to have a Jamaican head of state elected by the people of Jamaica with real authority to build a new and better Jamaica. So join the UIC, donate, volunteer, and let's make Jamaica what we want it to be. You have the last word, Sir Carlos. Go ahead.
Well, Mr. Patterson, we have to continue this discussion because it's nice and healthy. And
That's fine.
I got people on my page they want to meet you, because some people been hearing about you,
Yes.
so they want to meet you and see what you're about. So thank you for this opportunity to come on your show tonight and
Yes,
have
man.
this reasoning because we need to have this discussion. And like we say,
Again,
big up everybody in the diaspora. Jamaica cannot change without you. You have to be on that bus. There's no change, man. What we're gonna do? Go
exactly.
back there. Imagine you. I'm talking to someone in diaspora right now.
Mm.
Imagine you who live up from Jamaica from 19 how long with your brain and mentality. Imagine you in Jamaica right now. Will you have that knowledge? What you know? How much things you know? Enough things you know since then. So imagine if you have a government who decides to say, guys in the diaspora, hey, I want to employ all you guys, wonderful guys with your skills, your knowledge, even just a thought process, even open it up for people to tell you something so we can change our country. So
Exactly.
Deputy Minister is saying that, Prime Minister is saying that basically we should shut up. And you know what? I heard that before. I heard the other day some bunch of politicians out there wanted to change some laws out there that allowed prisoners to walk after they plead guilty. Right? I'm sure you hear about that. So
Yeah.
some politicians
Yes.
wanted to cut that. So you're not gonna cut the short time because you plead guilty. But I heard that DPP was saying that don't matter social media. Don't watch them people. Don't follow the clout on social media and let you da. So therefore, it's showing right there that they don't care about who's on social media, who is
We're not in.
overseas.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys are not important. Let's put your head down and do what we are doing. We don't want change.
Mm-mm.
And
Well, we
change.
we go and change that. We the people of Jamaica, the Jamaican people, all 7 million of us, a yard and abroad, all 7 million of us, those of us who want real change, now is the time, now is the moment, and we and the UIC will get it done. It's time. Thank you, Carlos. Have a good night. See you
Thank you,
soon
Mr.
on your
Pat.
program. Take care.